Hola,
Hello. ¿Me escuchas?
¿qué tal?
Aquí estoy.
Vale, va el audio bien.
Oye, puedes ir con Polo si quieres.
Sí, sí, no, era sobre todo que digo, ¿qué coño es? ¿Smart Casual? Nada, pensaba ir con nada, zapatillas blancas, polo, pantalones discretos y
Perfecto.
la coletilla.
That's perfect, man.
Vale, yo lo tengo todo. La vista que voy a dejar será la de speaker.
Me tendrás que dejar que pueda compartir pantalla.
Ah, perfecto, pues lo habilito. Vale, lo tienes ya. Comparte pantalla para ver que funciona.
You see me? Can you
Sí.
see me?
Sí, puedo verla. Un momento. Lo que pasa es que la vista estándar. A ver. Ah, vale, ahora sí. Vale, participantes aquí. Mi micro es el externo. Tú me escuchas bien, ¿no? También a mí.
Sí. Yo sí.
Vale, un momentín que voy a ver lo que está grabando la tablet, ¿vale?
Ok.
A ver, con pantalla completa. ¿Alvaro?
Voy. ¿Ahora?
Vale. Sí, se ve perfecto.
¿Está por ahí María?
Sí, acaba de llegar a casa, que le había escrito de no hagas ruido.
Dile hola.
Ya te ves.
¿Qué tal?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien también. Aquí cambiando de vida, aquí ayudando a tu marido.
Ya, es moda, está bien. A ver si haces algo grande, chicos.
Sí, siempre. Algo grande siempre. En alguna de ellas haremos algo grande.
En alguna.
Vaya bien. Chao.
Gracias. Chao.
Vale, listo. Voy a dejar entrar a la gente, ¿vale?
Perfecto.
Bueno, a la gente, a Víctor, uno. ¿Vas a dejar esto compartiendo pantalla ya o lo quitas de momento?
Lo voy a dejar, ¿no?
Porque cuando tú te presentes, la gente te tiene que ver a ti en... ¿Sabes?
Ah, no me ve aquí, en pequeñito.
Se ve muy pequeñito.
Stop
Sí.
share. Hola, Víctor.
Hola, Víctor. Hello.
Hello, Víctor.
We don't need all the proposals open, right? You are going to go directly to the links in the presentation. I don't need to have everything open.
¿Qué correo te lo envío? Espérate, tengo aquí Lala. ¿Te lo envío a tu correo de Laura? Laura0506.
Si quieres que tenga aquí a Enrique hablando.
Liquidación de bola. Vale, mira.
Lo tengo aquí de fondo, pero que no.
Ah,
Vale, un segundito.
okay. Okay. No necesitarás grabar, Álvaro? Lo que te había dicho antes. lo manejo yo, no hace falta.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Diego.
Hi, Diego.
What's up?
Did you have some time to check the challenge this week?
Yes, I was checking out, but I missed the schedule to send it. It was very difficult. I was searching and learning about the topic, but I missed to create something. So with a level to send, I have some insights that I get from that, but I missed that.
Hi all.
Hello, Raúl.
Hello, Raúl.
Let's see how the people is joining. Raúl, did you take the challenge? Did you check it?
Sorry?
Did you take some time to at least read the challenge and go over it?
I read it, but I don't have too much time to do nothing. Sorry.
But at least you checked it. You know what we are going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Is it your first time attending, Raúl?
My first time, what?
Attending the workshops, or you were here 2 weeks ago?
No, I wasn't last week. I'm the guy who's sneaking into your preparation last week.
Ah, yes, it's true. It's true. Yeah, forgot it. Yeah. Hi, Sean.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good to meet you all.
Great. Thank you for your proposal.
Oh, thanks. I didn't spend too long on it, but I thought it was a good first try, maybe.
It was very good. Thank you.
Hi, Albert, Nikita, David, Sergio, Diogo, and also thank you, Diogo, for your proposal as well.
Hello. Yeah, I think it was a bit minimal, but we'll see.
So let's wait a couple of minutes. If you can just say hi, turn on the camera so we can see each other, it would be nice. Okay. More people here. Okay, I think we shall start with the intro. Alvaro, what do you think?
Perfect. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. I will say hi later to the others. Again, last call for those that can turn on the camera if you can, only if you can, but it would be nice to see more faces here. We are going to start, first of all, presenting CTO Insider. This is a series of workshops that tries to let you know how is the life of the CTO from the inside. In this case, from the challenges we live on a daily basis in the role. For those that want to approach that role in the future, for those that want to grow in the role if you are already playing it, but at least to learn how to deal with these challenges that you will face in your career sooner or later, even if you are not in the CTO role. You will face some of these challenges, and we think it's really, really critical to teach the leaders of tomorrow which are the main areas of interest for someone leading a digital product. In this session, which is the second one, we will basically talk about product because it's some of the missing areas in the skill set that you need to have as a CTO in the early stages, because you normally don't have a CPO or a product expert in the team in that early stages, right? So welcome to this workshop that is called From CTO to CTPO, which is a new role that we are inventing. I am Alvaro Moya. I am the founder of Leader. We, in this case, with Alvaro as well, created this community of Leader and these trainings in Leader in order to let you grow into the CTO role in an easy way, at least easier than it was for me and many other mentors that are into the team that just literally hit the wall with any single challenge that we face. We learned the hard way, and we are trying to make it a bit easier for others that are trying to jump into the role. So my turn is over. I would like Alvaro to present himself and start the session. Stage is yours.
Thanks, Alvaro. So hi, everybody. So I'm Alvaro Mancilla, the other Alvaro, and I've been working as a CPO for the last 2 years, and before I've been CEO and like CPO at the same time for other 4 years. I also learned the hard way. So we created a company back then that started. So I started without knowing anything. So we just jump into the pool, and then things started to go well, then wrong, then we closed the company, and then I joined Going, that is a fintech company, and I joined them when they were like 10 people, and we grew it to 30 that we are right now. It's still small company, but we have already faced a lot of the challenge that you have to face when you grow a company and when you try to work with tech teams and coordinate them. I've been working super close to the CTO, and the idea of this workshop is to try to give you an approach from the product side, but thinking about how the role of the CTO should also be aware of product and also business challenges, to try to have the whole overview and the whole picture that at the end you will need to have them. So I'm not trying to give you like a master class. The idea is more to have a kind of session where we can share some thoughts. I've also taken some of the challenge that some of you did. By the way, we have one that we don't know who is the owner that has a Notion. I don't know who is the owner. Okay, Jose Vicente, no? Okay, cool.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to add my name.
No worries. I will use yours and the one from Sean. So both of you guys, I put some examples in the presentation that I will share now. So I will give you some time to explain, and I will ask some questions. So if you want, I can just start sharing the screen. Go through the thing. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, so we are going to use this. This is like a tool to have in the workshops, like interactive workshop. So the idea is, if you have any question, just go through here. Well, I will ask you if all of you can go through this website, add this code, and you will see some questions. So the first one is going to be related to which are your roles, to understand a little bit more who you are. And then we will use it also. If you have any kind of question, please add them here. Then we will have like an open mic at the end of the presentation of the workshop, and I will also try to ask you a specific question. The idea is also to, so if you want to interrupt me, but if you want to just, you are a little bit more shy and you want to just to add the question on the link, it would be something that we will go over after. Okay, cool.
Okay, Alvaro, in order to do the rest of the questions after the role, we will need you to show the next slide. So you need to progress in order for us to maybe ask questions or something like that.
Okay, perfect. So I will, okay, perfect. So the first one, once we have it, let me check. So the first one is read your role. Okay, so we've already answering. If you all did it, I can go to the next one that we'll need for the ask me anything. It's the first time I use this, so
great.
sorry.
We can already ask any questions for the end of the session. Thank you.
Perfect. So let's get this again. Okay, so basically the challenge was related to creating a product roadmap from a pseudo invented company that is called LTI. The idea of the workshop is going through different things that you will need to think about when you are like facing this product side of the CTO role. I put it in a different like points. The first one is from business goal to product goals. The most important thing for from the product side is to understand business. Without the understanding of the business, then we cannot do anything. And this is something that I've been also talking to a lot of people that work in tech. Is tech is only a channel. It's not the end goal. It's never the end goal. At the end, the technology, even the product itself, is only a way of getting something. Is how do we make people better in this, or how do we achieve X for X amount of other people? And the how is going to be through technology or through whatever, or we sell churros in the street, whatever we do.
Solo 20 personas. 20 personas.
Hello. I think someone has the mic.
Lo hace, se considera como mega CTO allá.
Can you guys hear the... Alvaro, help me with that.
We should probably mute.
Alguien con permisos que le mutee, porfa.
Sí, creo que Álvaro, ¿no?
Sí. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so coming back. So the first thing is understanding the business. So I think that the most important thing when you move from a more like, let's say, coding position to a leading position is understanding the overview of everything that is around you. And the most important thing that you need to understand is at the end is the business. So I will put like very, very few points here, but analyzing the business is something that is very important to be able to start doing the product goals. Then something I always say is always why, then what, then how, and never the opposite. A lot of people start thinking when they think on product, they think on, okay, so I want to do this super cool feature that will have this super cool aspect, this UI, whatever, and then they think the opposite. So they go from the feature to the objective or to the business. And for me, it's very important to do the others. It's always, okay, so what do we want to do? So why do we want to do it? It's like the main goal of the company. Then what do we want to do to hit this objective? And then how are we going to do it? And then you think about problems to solve and not features to do. And sometimes, I mean, at least in my personal experience, is not so easy to think without being biased by your own idea of how the product looks. And it's super hard to have conversations with yourself to try to take this path, to get rid of this path, and then focusing on the why and why are we going to do this? And because if not, you are going to start doing things because of like things that need or really needed. And at the end, when you are in a very small company, and I think in every company, you have limited resources, and you need to be able to manage the resources and time and focus, and those are super meaningful resources. So for me, it's the why and the what and the how. And another way of understanding or putting objectives in a simple way to bring alignment with the team and to also have a clear focus is using things like OKRs. I don't know if someone is familiar with them. Is someone familiar with OKRs? Yeah. So basically, they stand for objectives and key results. So the thing is that is thinking on, okay, which is the objective of the company or the team or whatever, and then trying to think about key metrics that are going to be necessary to hit the objective. And when you think, yeah, this is something that Google invented. The book is called Measure What Matters. It's the book that talks about OKRs. And what the most important thing is, okay, so to have 100% hit of the objective, the KR should be the minimum necessary KRs to hit the 100% of the objective. So it's a very powerful tool if you use it well, but it could be also a very bad tool if you use it in the wrong direction. I've seen companies that started with OKRs and they did like a cascading that is called that. So you do like company OKRs, then you do like team OKRs, then you do small like sub teams OKR, then you have like a ton of cascade objectives and key results, and at the end everybody's working alone in a silo, working in a different direction, and then nothing is completely related. So then it doesn't bring you the focus and the alignment that the tool is thought to. So trying to understand business and how many OKRs you need to have in from the tech perspective is something that you should be working with leadership of the company or whatever the people that are working on that, depending on the company size. You will need to be pretty aware of which are the minimum necessary objectives that you need to be able to hit the objective of the company at the end. So moving forward, so related to the challenge that we sent, I think that some of you already read that. Hopefully everybody read the challenge, but I'm just putting here the goals of this company that we created. That is an ATS, and they are trying to disrupt the recruiting industry. And these were the two goals that we put to the challenge. That's one, is customers should be able to post their job offer automatically in less than 10 minutes. And we want to sell to 100K euros in Spanish market. So the idea was thinking about how to make these company goals into a product roadmap with different parts. So we took, as we said, a couple of you guys' ideas. So I'm going to start with you, Jose. I think I have it here. Can you explain a little bit your reasoning of this challenge, because it was pretty cool?
Yes. Well, basically, I wasn't sure about the things that we needed to build or to do to achieve those goals. So my main focus was on, okay, I feel that I need much more information to be able to make that decision. So I basically started talking about methodology and about some hypotheses I would try to test as a way to decide what would make sense to build next. So probably I didn't answer the roadmap question per se.
I think you did. I think you did. The thing is, and why did you? So which is your role? Which is your position? So you work in a tech company?
I'm a CTO right now in a company.
And can you explain a little bit more why you, so which is the main structure of your product roadmap? Because you had like, okay, company goals, that you have methodology, then you went through the hypothesis, and then kind of an action plan, and like well, product roadmap that would be like something that would be like created on demand.
Yeah. Well, I think
why you choose that?
Why I choose that? Yeah, as I said, I think this is what made sense to me, because at least when I think of our roadmap, some doubts I had is that, do we need to have some, I guess, features or things that we want to build or try, like with specific dates. But again, thinking about those things, I wasn't sure about what made sense. I mean, what we needed to build first. So given that you gave the hints of methodology and action plan and so on, I decided to work on those. So I said, okay, if we're gonna start working on this, first, I would probably go with something like Lean Startup, like lay out some hypotheses that we have. As in my opinion, those are basically what you have to validate to have a better chance of building what needs to be built for the goals to be achieved. And yeah, apart from that, like I mentioned Agile, which I saw that you mentioned Waterfall versus Agile. I think Agile makes more sense in this case because basically we don't know what we need to build. Also, I added ICE or ICE, the product prioritization framework that you might know. And also I mentioned OKRs. So I guess I talked about how I would build the roadmap, and I didn't do the roadmap per se, but because I felt that I didn't have enough information. I don't know if it's just basically that I don't know how to do it, and that's the reason why I felt like that. But yeah, that was the reasoning behind my proposal.
Do you guys have any question for him or any suggestion or comment? No. Okay, so how is it? So I have the same way of thinking that you have, Jose. By the way, we are super aligned in this kind of way of working. I also work like this. And for me, it's very important. So at the end, yes, you need an action plan. Probably if you keep working a little bit more time, you will have something like more like tangible. But for me, the most important thing is understanding the stage of the company, and at the end is what do we need to do to have a feedback loop faster and learn as fast as we can. Because at the end, when you are I think in every stage of the company, you should be learning as fast as you can. I think that the differentiator is as you can. So as fast as you can is different in a super small company that you are 3 founders and you are like doing super fast testing and iteration than in a big corporation where you have 2,000 employees. Is as fast as you can probably is slower than being 3. But at the end, the way of thinking, at least in my personal opinion, is very similar, and I think this works. I mean, for me, it's the way that works. So thanks for the document. It was super cool. Then we'll cover also the Sean presentation that is a little bit different, and I will ask him also to help us understand his reasoning. But I let you, Sean, for the next slide. Okay, so next. So if you don't have any question for now, we can also cover them in the Ask Me Anything at the end of the presentation. So then so we did the goals. So from goals to product roadmap, then let's go with the action plan. So the idea of the action plan here was more, so okay, so now we know what we want, so why we want to do things, what we want to do in an objective approach. Now we need to understand, okay, so let's put this objective into product goals. So it's also what here. So then once you have transformed your company goals into something more product related thing, then you need to understand, okay, so what do we do first? And this is, for me, this is the hardest thing from a CPO position. So the prioritization is one of the most important thing, and because it's super easy to say yes and super hard to say no, and you will need to say no thousands of times, because you will have like the CEO come in and say, hey, today I have a super cool idea that we need to do this, that is going to be changing okay, but why are we going to do this? No, because my friend that is another CEO from another company is doing this and it's working super cool. And then you have to say, okay, so if those are the company objective, so we do them. But if they are not aligned with the company objectives, you have to be able to say no. And then you start having this kind of conversations that are super necessary to be able to have a team aligned and not losing focus every 2 weeks. Because sometimes, depending on your team, right? But sometimes from the business side, and I consider myself to be more from the business side, we have like a ton of super cool ideas that need to be done now, and everything is now. So today has to be done now, tomorrow it has to be done now, and everything is going to be now. And then as a CTO or CTPO or whatever position that you need to funnel a little bit all these ideas and make them actionable, and then you have a team and limited resources, and not everything could be done now, and you understand that from a technology perspective probably is going to take, I don't know, more than one sprint or even more than one quarter, and you have to give all the necessary information for the stakeholders to be able to co-create and to co-decide that this is not possible to do it now, but probably we have a little bit, or we can understand, can we find a smaller way of validating or invalidating the thing that you want to test with that? And we do it super fast, and we get more information to be able to reprioritize these before the thing that was priority one today. And I think that a framework that also Jose mentioned is the IC score. That is basically something that we will cover a little bit later, but it's a super easy, simple tool to prioritize things and to have this kind of conversation that for me are the most important one. Like, okay, so is this more important than this? And then if it's yes, we just start doing this kind of reprioritization thing. Because at the end, we need to focus on, okay, so now we are going to do this first. So which resources do we have? So it's a little bit the how, and then which is the methodology that we are going to use it, right? Because are we going to use Agile? Are we going to use Waterfall? Which kind of framework we can use for Agile? Are we going to do Kanban? Are we going to do Scrum? Are we going to do nothing and invent whatever is better for us as a team? I think this is another part of the position that I think this is not always a CPO or CTO. It could be something in between of them. Sometimes the CTO who goes with this kind of methodology. Sometimes the product CPO that works more on the methodology. But at the end, it's something that if you understand them, you're going to have like a plus to be able to make the team understand also why we are doing Agile and not Waterfall. And this is a decision that is key for everything that you do. It's completely different. A project that is done with Waterfall is completely different to a project that is done in Agile. It's the same idea, and probably both of them have cons and pros. I mean, then we'll have the conversation because I want to know your opinion as well. But at the end, is both of them are okay, but you need to understand the type of business that you are working with. How many hypotheses do you have already validated? And how the market is. For example, I want to give you a very hands-on. Right now, I have like a side project with other friends that we want to build a new way of funding for startups. So we know that you have VC, you have banking, credit, and there is a new trend in other markets that is a non-dilutive way of lending money without taking equity or big interest and without personal guarantees from the founders. That is called a revenue sharing agreement. Alvaro, can you help us? Yeah, it's called a revenue sharing agreement. This is already in the market, and we want to do a copycat. Kind of, it is already working in Canada. It is already working in the UK. And we need to build a super fast MVP here. So probably the best way of building this is not going to be Scrum for the first MVP. Then the way of thinking probably will be the same. Probably yes, Agile, but probably not Scrum. And if we decide to do a super Waterfall project, or if we would decide to do a Scrum project, it's going to be completely different the way that we approach the go-to market and the cycles that we're going to do. So this is a very important decision that could change everything from day one. So it's something that probably you need to master if you want to move to these kind of positions as well. And the last thing is the time frame, because if you want an action plan, it has to have a time. It could be, okay, we decide to do sprints, whatever, 4-week sprint, 2-week sprint, 1-week sprint, 3-day sprint, whatever. And this is going to be the deadline. So you have like an amount of time that is a resource, and then you need to fill it with things and make this machine work. Or it could be, I don't know, we need waterfall project, so we're going to be with phase 1 for 3 months and phase 2 for another 3 months or whatever. So, but time frame is also important. And depending on how you combine them, you will have probably completely different projects. And this is something that you need to master if you want to do your work as good as possible. I also wanted to give you another example. I have it here. This is just for you to understand how we work with this. This is our experiment backlog for this program, for Leader. Leader is an idea of, so we want to build a master for CTOs. So the idea is to try to understand, okay, so we saw that there is a niche for people that are like developers or even tech leads or other CTOs in startups that want to be improving their skills as CTOs. That is not coding skill. We don't touch any coding thing, only these kind of things like soft skills. How do you manage team? How do you manage the relationship with stakeholders? How do you approach investors? All these kind of things are kind of different. So, and we decided to work in this super agile way of assumptions, validation, etc. So we came through a list of different hypotheses that you can see them here. So basically we had like learning model. The learning model is the best and creates the highest engagement. And we had like different ideas. So real life learning, learning by doing, top professional mentors, lesson, career coaching, whatever. So we have a list. And then we have like a different kind of assumptions. Some of them are super critical. For example, we want to build everything on top of a value that is top mentors are really key for students to really pay for that. If this one doesn't exist, we will need to change the whole thing. So for example, this one is super critical. Or this one, for example. And then that top mentors that for us are top CTOs, like, okay, so we want to have as a mentor the CTO of Typeform. Is the CTO of Typeform, is he willing to help, or does he has time? So can we pay him? It's going to be something like he can be really engaged. So these are like assumptions, like if they don't work, we will need to change everything if we want to do this thing. So we went through this kind of list of hypotheses, and then we started to think the backlog of first ideas. And as you can see here, so we have the first one, is what we are doing today, is workshop to validate work preparation at home. Something that we had is the hypothesis that people, the learning by doing thing needs people to be working at home. That's why we ask you guys to prepare the job beforehand. And something that we wanted to validate is, okay, so validate with the workshop that the learning model will have, that we will have in the master is going to work. So then it was the priority number one, because we did the IC score and we had the first priority. So that's why we ask you guys to prepare this, and we got 4 out of, I don't know how many we are here, like 12 or something like this. And then we went through the pipeline, and we had like, I hide it because I don't want you to be influenced by the metrics that we had, but basically it's this idea. So we have the name of the experiment, then we are preparing this one. This is related to the CTOs, to understanding if the top CTOs want to work with us as professors. So we have, okay, LinkedIn growth hack. We're going to send cold DMs to 50 handpicked selected second-tier CTOs, because we want to have like top-tier CTOs and second-tier CTOs to be part of the program. So this is in preparation. Then we have a starting date, like an end date of the experiment, and then we have the target variable that is going to be yes ratio, people that only say yes, and we want to have a 40% success. And this way of working is going to help us super fast, so understand super fast if we need to change things or we can move forward, or if we learn something that probably is inconclusive and we can keep working on that and understand a little bit more and talking to people. And this is what we are doing right now with this workshop and all these things, just for you to see like a real life example of this kind of ideas. I don't know if you have any question or we move to the next thing. We move? Okay, if not, just put it in the ask me anything thing. Okay, so now I'm going to give the parole to Sean Kaiser. So can you please, Sean, explain us this other approach that is completely different to the one that Jose shown with us, and why are you choosing this approach to the product roadmap, and which are the key things that you took into consideration?
Yeah. Can everybody see that text okay? Is there a way to like zoom in just a little bit, maybe?
Maybe
a bit small.
Or I could share my screen and I just like use the whole screen.
Okay. Can you give him permissos?
Yep. They're granted, I guess. If you stop
in yours, you have to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. How about now?
Perfect.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So basically, like I came from a different direction from Jose. I have like a technical background, I've been like an architect and like a senior engineer and like a team lead, which is closer to the product side. And I've always put input into product roadmaps, but I've never just like made a product roadmap. And I've definitely helped out with like different startups and stuff. And some have been successful and like, or not like medium successful, and others have been kind of failures. And so like, I looked at this one kind of like a bit like from a consulting approach where like, we already have an MVP. We think the MVP is pretty good. It functions. So I said there's two major goals, and I broke down the goals into two sub goals. So the first one was basically to prepare for the Spanish market. And then like the second one was to make sure that we reach a revenue of 200,000 euros. And then I said, all right, we have 12 months. And by the way, this Go product roadmap, I needed a framework because I'm not like a super pro at writing the roadmap. So I had a friend who's like really into product. She gave me some advice. So I used this framework by Roman Fischler. And then I said, okay, cool. I have two major goals. I have 4 quarters, 12 months. So then I broke that down. And basically I just started from the top, and then I started at the goal. And I said, all right, the first thing is to take the current prototype and make it production ready, right? And ready for the Spanish market. So like an usually isn't very like it's not very scalable and probably has a lot of bugs, and it was just really not made, it's not like hardened, like it's not security hardened. So then I said, all right, cool, let's just shape up the product, harden it in Q4 of 2020. And then, so just kind of, I did all, like I got really technical here for the features, and just like some scaling stuff, some technical debt payoff, CI/CD, and make sure that we have localization because it's in English, right? And then I thought, all right, my metrics were like code coverage, like basically a system can be deployed up and down and rolled back, and it can tolerate so many concurrent users, right? So that was a very technical, we just getting started. We know we have something that works. Let's make it work really well so that we can build on that and then go to performance. So this was the second part where we needed to make sure that end to end, they could post an application in less than 10 minutes. So the features for this were to identify and solve the bottlenecks in the system, right? Because we know there's going to be parts where it's slow, maybe where the code isn't as good, and the runtime is really poor. And then, as you can see from Q4, I had one of the goals was conduct extensive usability testing. So this could be like A/B testing or just standard usability stuff. And then the features here, I figured that would feed in to my next set here, right? So these would be new features from here. These feed into new features here. So that kind of makes it iterative and agile. And then here for the metrics, I just thought tire metrics in all part of the system so that we can understand if users are able to navigate it successfully around 10 minutes. And then I said, and again, I don't know if I started this too late or not, because I thought after I did this, I thought some of these you could do in parallel. But then I thought, okay, the system's ready. It's ready for users. We've done some testing. Let's start marketing, right? Because I thought if we marketed too soon and the system couldn't handle all of the users, then we automatically kind of like, you kind of fail out in terms of like people abandon your website and they say it sucks and they don't want to use it anymore. So I thought, let's wait until this point to do marketing, search engine optimization, and revenue boosting. And here, this wasn't really as technical. This was more like market to a wide audience, boost social media presence, expand SEO capability on the website, like the metadata, and then engage the marketing team to boost the social media presence, like LinkedIn, hire.com, whatever. Add in the appropriate metadata so that people can find you and they find that your search result is the first. And then the metrics would be like how long a user stays, abandon rates, and then measurement for social media engagement, so likes and reshares. And then here, because you're taking on users, you're taking in like you should hopefully be increasing your user base. So I thought by the end of this, a reasonable revenue target would be 100,000 euros. That might be like, I don't know, a little sky high. And then I thought the last part was, okay, I have the system, I have all of my metrics in place, I have my Google Analytics, I have all of this data. Let's analyze the data and use this very last Q3 2021 to like dynamically add improvements based on all of the outputs from different pieces of data here and direct user feedback to improve the overall experience. So at this point, now we're optimizing the user experience. We're not optimizing the platform, which we did here. And then the outputs of the previous release and the provided analytics would dictate the new features here. So I left this pretty vague. And then I didn't really know what my metrics would be here, but I thought for sure obviously in order to reach our larger goal of 200,000 for Q2, Q3, we should have a total of 200,000 euros in revenue alone. So not profit, but. And yeah, I just came up, I thought this would be like a good approach at it. And like, I come from like the technical background. So I'm very like, okay, let's do this. Like, let's jump right in and just like start doing something. So.
Can I ask you some questions? So which methodology will you use to make this happen? So how the team will work with this kind of idea of product format that is completely the other approach from the one that, for example, Jose presented?
Yeah, so I think like I operated on like some assumptions where we already knew our goals and we already had a semi-functional product, and we had proved that in fact this would be like something that would be successful in the market. I think if I had not done if we didn't have those assumptions, I might actually start where Jose started. That would make a lot more sense, because there would be all these experiments you'd want to run, because you'd be like, is this a really good feature? Like, is this really going to bring users in before you start like productionizing the product? So.
And how the team will work. So I think that the approach is completely fair. I mean, it works. The here is, okay, if you have this kind of roadmap, the team itself, how will you put the team to work? Like, are you going to use, I don't know, Agile? Are you going to use, how the team is going to be working with which kind of methodology are you going to, like, are you going to do sprints? Are you going to use Kanban? What are you going to do, and why?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I hadn't even thought about using any other approach other than Agile, Scrum, period, right? Like, I thought, for me, I think that like probably the best approach here, and I don't know, I mean, you could do a couple different ways, right? You could waterfall this, or you could do mini waterfalls. But I was thinking week-long sprint cycles with typically with standard Scrum, and then have the product person works really closely with the team. And the reason I say week-long is because because it's such a new product, you'd quickly discover things that you wanted to change, and you're a startup and you only have 12 months. So you need to be able to pivot really fast. And sometimes you can easily lose 2 weeks if you're building the wrong features and you don't realize it.
Completely agree. Can you hear me? I think I do.
We can barely
Hello?
hear you, but
Now?
screen sharing has been like locked. I think you need to
Now?
stop screen sharing and
I
start.
see a black.
Okay, now it's
Oh,
working.
now,
Now?
okay.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I think my connection is unstable. Okay, so I agree. The thing is that, so if you are going to use Scrum, and this is just a question that I would have for you. So the basic, so the main concept behind Scrum is at the end is learning as fast as possible, right? And try to optimize time to market to be able to increase the number of feedback loops that you get with the market and not with your assumptions in your head, and try to make this a process where everything is completely iterative. When you think about this problem, at least as I see, so I like the thing that you split the goals and into like smaller goals, and I like the idea of having like metrics to measure them. But I think that when you look at the way that you are at the end putting the features that will be the thing that you will do during the quarter, for example, I don't see how the metrics that you put with the features that you have will help you learn that the assumption that we can do 200K, that is an assumption. I mean, probably we are not able to sell anything, right? Is going to be validated. And what happens if productionizing this step is delayed? What happens if you finish the quarter Q4 and this is not done? You said at the beginning that from this, then you got these goals, and from this you got those one. So at the end, it's a wonderful thing, because if this is going to be delayed, I don't know, and you know that this happens a lot, it's going to be delayed 1 month, easily, then you will be like 1 month late to get to your performance optimization. And if you are also late in your performance optimization, you will be 2 months late to your starting to market it. So probably you won't have 6 months to have 200K in revenue. You will only have 4 months instead of 6.
And so you'd probably fall short of you could potentially, that would be the risk, right?
Yeah,
you'd fall short of that.
It's just a thought. I mean, I think both of them work. This is a way that probably, if you just think about that, for me, is perfect. Like, I mean, there is no perfect source. And I think that a lot of companies are doing waterfall and they are doing super great. And you can have a lot of big examples in the market. Probably older school companies, and because now this way of working is a little bit more fancy today, the new one, the agile one. But still, you have example of good companies that are doing waterfall and they are working perfectly. I mean, it's just a way of trying to mix. What I wouldn't do is mixing things. So if we do a way of doing it, we decide to do this. And we understand that we have these pros and these cons, but we do this. And for me, the problem is when you think or when you start mixing things, because then you won't do Scrum because you won't do it well if you are thinking like this, and you won't do good waterfall because you start to think, okay, so how are we going to slice the product to make it happen in this product roadmap? Probably you won't think in a complete solution, like small solution, think in parts of the product, and you will try to do parts of the product in sprint of 2 weeks. That is very hard to slice because you are not thinking of, you are thinking on. Can you hear me? Or it's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. You're cutting out a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Not really well.
Sorry about that. I don't know why it's happening. So the thing is that probably you will start thinking on parts of functionalities, features so not problems. So you wouldn't try to solve the users' problems. You will try to build features. So I wouldn't mix Scrum with building features. That's the only thought I would say here. It's completely fine, but I wouldn't mix both of them. Why do you need 2 week sprints? Probably you would be like in a worse position than, because you already know what you want, because that's why you're saying here. So just go for it and do another thing. I don't know. For example, it's just a thought, but I think it's completely fine. So thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, so we move forward. So another thing that you added here is then the action plan should be one of the most important things is track and adjust, right? So measure what matters for me is one of the most important things, is trying to avoid bullshit metric. I'm going to explain them. Vanity metrics that usually when you're tech, you don't have a lot of vanity metrics, but when you are not tech, you can see a lot of vanity metrics, like, I don't know, signups. Something it's a vanity metric. It doesn't mean anything. You have a lot of people that just add the email, and you have I don't know, this LTI project, and you don't have anybody posting jobs or any candidate like doing the recruiting process. Then this is a bullshit metric, vanity metric. Sorry. And for me, the other thing very important is less metrics is better. So if you can have the minimum variable metrics that you need to really understand that what you're doing is in the right direction, for me it's better. Why? Because when you have a ton of metrics, then you don't look at them in the way that you should look at metrics that are a way of controlling that you do things in the right direction and easily make you change direction or adjust or optimize or whatever. So you have thousands of metrics, then you are not going to be able to track them all at the same time and have them with the importance that they should have in a daily basis, right? So something I've seen a lot of times is, okay, so we are going to do this user story, and we have 5 KPIs for the user stories, and then you look at one. Then when you go to the daily thing, you are okay. Let's do a dashboard, mix panel, whatever. We put together everything, and we have 5 different metrics, a lot of cool graph. But then you look at one, and the other 4 are just bullshit. And this is a lot of the things that we do in product. So this is something that we really do when we are like working in product. And in the tech side, you have the same thing. Okay, so let's track performance and whatever, and this super specific technical thing that doesn't matter. I mean, the time in some specific products, probably the loading time is going to be important. But in most of the companies and in most of the solutions that are bringing real value and in early stage, probably is not the most important thing that you have to look at, right? So understanding that which is the only metric that matters, or MTM, I say here, is something that as a company perspective super important. But also if you go smaller into like sprints or quarters or whatever you do, is also very important, because your mission as a leader of people is to help them be aligned and understand what do they need to do. And for me, the most important thing is, or the best outcome of being a good leader, it could be CTO, it could be CEO, it could be whatever, it could be, I don't know, a father of a family, right? Could have the any leader of a group. And for me, the most important thing, one of the best outcomes that you can have is when a developer now that we're working remotely at his home, has a small challenge, like deciding if I'm going to do this piece of code or this piece of code. And when they understand which is the best possible solution of these 2 options, this small decision, super small decision, but they understand that to get to this metric, the better thing is to do this and not this one, and they can make this decision without asking you. For me, this is the best outcome of having the key metrics under control, because it brings so much flexibility and it brings so much value to people that work in the team to be able to not being like with daddy, hey daddy, do I need to do this piece of code or this piece of code? And we don't want this. We want people to be heads and not, so brains and not hands. We want them to be able to make their own decisions. And this is what in this industry, a lot of smart people. So there are a lot of smart people, everybody's smart. So to take the most from the team, you should be a good, so for me, to get the most from the team, you have to have very clear metrics. So put in the right metric and make everybody understand why this is the most important metric is going to give you a lot of, at the end, velocity as well. All these kind of things. And then for me, the last part of that is this has to be an action plan, but a living action plan. Something that I used to do with the teams, with the product owners, is I check the backlog, and if the priority is the same, so the priority is in the backlog, not the sprint backlog, the backlog for the next sprints. If the priorities of the backlogs are the same for weeks, for me, this is a red flag. If priorities are not changing, so if I want to do first A, then B, then C, and I come the next week, because we do it every week, I go the next week and I see again A, B, C, and the next week A, B, C, and so far, and you're not doing well your job. You are not learning as fast as you need, because you could be a rock star and you can know what is going to happen in the future, but probably you're not. You have 99% of probabilities of not being like a guru. So you should be a learner. No, we don't want rock stars. We want we don't want gurus and rock stars. We want learners and fast learners. So if you look at the backlog and you can see priorities are changing, for me, this is a good sign. Probably not every day. This is a bad sign. But if it's changing every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this is something good, because at the end is you are learning, you have new and priorities. That's for me is a good thing. And probably something that when you start working with that, you can understand it more than me talking about that. But it's something that for me is super important. So having a way of tracking, so measuring what matters, tracking it, and adjusting the plan. Because if not, why do you measure it? Why are you going to measure something that you're not going to change? So don't measure it. Just go for it. Just go blind it, bet on it, put all your money there, and then you can go to the casino as well and do the same. And probably you're going to have much more outcomes that build the company. So that's the concept behind. I don't know if you have any question. No, it's okay. So then I put it again, the example of Jose. So thanks, Jose, because you helped me prepare my job. So for something that I saw here that I liked is that he just did next week and then iteration of ideas, right? So next week we're going to validate that. And then we just work on iterations of the most important things. So this is okay for us, but you cannot say that to stakeholders. You cannot go to the CEO of the company and say, hey, this is my plan. Tomorrow we're going to do this, and then whatever. You cannot say that. So you have to be a little bit of smarter on that. But the way of thinking and working, I think this is, for me, this is something that I personally do. So, but then I have some kind of, I would say, draft of roadmap that I show and change like thousands of times, because then you have to share with investors, and they're going to ask, hey, Alvaro, what are you going to do for the next quarter? And you say, I'm going to do these 3 cool features. And I'm thinking, no, I'm going to explore these 3 things and we will see. But you cannot say that to an investor, because they're going to say, hey, so I give you 1 million and you're going to explore things. Are you going to play here? No, because probably they don't understand that so the resource that we have, the most important resource that we have is time, and the way that and the faster we learn, the better. So it's key for that. So you need to also have a product roadmap to show, even if you change it like 30 times per quarter. That's probably, so I think the last one I changed it. I think I have a version in June, July, August, like product roadmap, August, product roadmap, September. And then you have like the document that is changing. And then when I show it, it's always a different one. but it's something that you have to do, right? And probably with as a CTO, it's the same way. You do like a roadmap of technology, kind of. If you take the product side of the CTO, right? And I don't know if you have any question. If not, we go to the. I think we are okay on time.
I have one question.
Perfect.
You said that you need to have the roadmap for like investors and such, but is it also useful for you at any point in time, or you'd say that never?
Yeah, it's also helpful for me, and the team, because at the end, if you share like an idea of roadmap, but for example, how we do it in a different way. How we do it is, okay, so we have objective, so we work with OKRs. Okay, so we know that the company needs blah blah blah. So we go with the teams once we have the objective set, and we do something that is called impact map. That is a way of moving from objective to deliverables in different like columns. So we do the job with the team. So we say, okay, so these are the objectives, and we're going to brainstorm once per quarter all the ideas that we have, that we think we have to solve this problem. We started to do it with deliverables, and we had a more product-oriented approach. And then we evolved it, and we took out the deliverable parts, and we stopped in the impact. So that is basically problems to solve. So the team is thinking, which is the problem that we need to solve to be able to move this objective. And everything is related, so it's super easy to go the other way and say, okay, so if I change this behavior in this actor, I will be moving this KR that will hit this objective. And this way, you have a list of problems to solve that for me are the baseline of the product roadmap. And this is the way that works for me. I mean, but I also, I've had problems to share this with investors, for example. So I need to have another thing like typical one with, we will do exactly this and exactly this, and you put some screenshots of things that you don't know that are going to happen, and everybody's happy, and then they let you do your work, right? It's also something that you need to do. Thanks. Any other question? So let's go with the thing. So okay, yes, 2 questions. Okay, perfect. So the first one is I did it, and it's another question for you. Is one of the classical question is agile versus waterfall. So what do you guys think? So one wants to break the ice. If not, I'm going to say like the t-shirt. So Diego, start. Diego, what do you think about agile versus waterfall?
Well, this is more my experience. I prefer agile. Why? Because in where I've been working, when we were working with waterfall, like in a web agency, for example, my feelings at the end of the project was that we miss all the checkpoints, we miss all the requirements. And now when I switched to a product company, I see that with agile you can as you said, you can learn more, you can learn faster, you can change your approach to solve one problem. For me, this is key if you want to deliver a good product. I understand maybe 20 years ago when you were in IBM and you didn't have you didn't have any competitors or very small bunch of competitors. It was easy to deliver. You had 2 years to make something, but now if you want to make a product in 2 months, maybe another company comes before you. So you need to be more agile, and this is key in our times. But this is my experience. Maybe in some cases, like you said, in a small project when you know what what you want to do because you are copying some other business model from another part is easiest. This is usually what you do in MVPs. You have an hypothesis, and the faster way to deliver is to make an maybe it's 1 month of waterfall. I don't know, but it's very useful. But for the daily work in not so early stage of a company, for me, agile is more, it's better.
Alvaro, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. I just wanted to point out that I think it's everything about the last thing that Diego said, that is the clarity and the purpose. I mean, agile is better for a kind of approach, and waterfall is better for others. I think it doesn't depend on you are IBM with tons of money or no competition. I think it's about if you need to learn or you need to develop something. If
Yes.
you have clarity
Maybe
on what you need to develop because it's already tried in the market, and or it's something that you don't need to learn about, then waterfall is like, hey, we need to build that. You prepare all the stages and then you run. And then in this scenario can fit. But then if what you need is to learn, it's better to go with agile to adapt quickly to the changes of the ecosystem of the context.
maybe it's about this word uncertainty. If you have or you haven't. Maybe my guess is that when I was working in waterfall, we thought we didn't have uncertainty, but it wasn't true. So it was very bad.
Cool. Do you guys have another comment, or we move to the next question? Okay, so let's move.
I would like to say that we have like around 5 minutes to close.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can
So the
choose
next question.
you can choose the best question out there and go with it.
Okay, I see like a. Okay, so they say here we have one that is, can you give concrete example of experiments you have done to easily validate hypotheses in digital product? Then we have another one that is, OKRs seem like a myth. Do you find OKRs really useful in startup? Have it ever worked successfully for you? And how do you deal with failed estimates of long time frames? And how do you deal with the team working on engineering related tasks like check role changes, adding new tools? Do you prioritize them along with features or the requests? Do you have any? Well, I guess that's the one that asked this.
Two of them have one vote, which is the first two that you have mentioned have one vote. So I think we should go with them.
Okay, so let's go with the concrete examples of experiments you have done to easily validate hypotheses in digital products. Yes. So I don't know if the ones that I showed with the leader, I think because they are not digital, completely digital, I think that they are not valid. But okay, so for example, we so in Going, that is an app that helps you save and invest. We wanted to validate. So we had the goal that it was improving the money that users save, so per user, the money that they save, right? And we had a bunch of different ideas to do that. And what we did is, okay, so we did the ICE thing for all the different problems to be solved. Where like, okay, so as a user, I want to have a new saving method. As a user, I want to have a customize. So we have different methods. So one of the method that I can customize, so I can have a higher amount of money that goes to my account. And we have this bunch of things. And at the end, we did. So we put them. We had like 4 or 5. We put them in the same ICE thing idea when we did the grooming of the user story. And the one that was the best solution that we thought about was improving something that was already existing. So we look at, okay, so those numbers told us that the key feature is A, so it was the roundup, and let's do a multiplier of the roundup to make people save X time the money that comes. This is something that we did was super easy, super fast, and it had a lot of impact. And why was the one that we selected? Because when you go through the ICE score, one of them is confidence. And we had the numbers that already told us that this is the feature that is the most used. So we were like pretty confident that moving something in this feature will impact a lot the metrics. And that's why we decided to do that. I don't know if I'm answering the question. Yeah.
There's one. And
Okay,
with this, we will close, I think.
Okay, so OKRs seems like a myth. Do you find OKRs really useful in a startup? How does it work successfully for you? OKRs is a myth. I mean, I don't know if OKRs are the secret sauce. I don't think so. But for me, the most important thing is objectives and metrics. That from the OKRs. I don't care if they are OKRs. I don't care if they are another framework. But at the end, is having clear objective. And if you can have only one, it's better. For me, it's better if the company has only one objective. For me, would be the unicorn scenario for me. Like, and then metrics, as few metrics as you can to be able to validate to hit this objective. So I don't know if OKRs are the best thing ever. For me, it worked. We started to implement it 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. When I came, I brought this OKRs to the team, and we started with like 5 objective and 8 KRs per objective. That was completely not okay, not focused. And then we started to iterate the way of doing OKRs as well. And for me, the best one were when we had like 1-2 objective for the company, and then 3-4 KRs for the objective for the whole company. And then we had teams based on the objectives. So we didn't have teams and then we do the objective. We had the objectives and then we built the teams. And then we did like a lot of super cool experiments, like mixing marketing people with developers to have a growth squad. And this was super fun, and it didn't work. It didn't work, but it was super fun to see how this interaction made them, work together, and it was super cool. And then we changed that because it didn't work. That's okay. That was the thing. I don't know if I'm asking.
What we can do, if you agree, Alvaro, is that the other questions, as they are already there, we can discuss it in the community. We can post it in Slack tomorrow, for example, and then we can have our opinion, and then let's all of you discuss about it, and we can have kind of a conversation more than just an answer from Alvaro, right? So I will point this out now, so we don't lose the questions, and we can close with the next the final part.
Yeah, the final part is we are doing something that is called ROTI. Is ROTI, is return on time invested. That is a super simple metric from 1 to 5. 1 is I lost my time. This was bullshit for me. 5 is, wow, this is the best thing ever. So the best 1 hour and 15 minutes I spent in my life. And the idea is then we won't do it like one by one, because probably not. So I will also ask the people that had a lower ROTI. So you can access the Mentimeter thing and answer. So now we have 4 people that answered so far. If the rest can answer, would be great. I'm going to share the screen to make more pressure. So we only have, this is the number of people, right? 4, I think. Oh no, 4 is the thing. Okay, so what's the number?
I think is that the value maybe? Yeah, there we go.
How do we know the people that I don't know.
5. I think it's 5. It's in the bottom right corner. Yeah.
So can the rest please?
Anyone else? This is so important for us to validate hypotheses.
See, no, nobody wants to validate. Okay.
Okay, done.
So cool. So I think we are done. I am done. I don't know, Alvaro, if you want to add something.
Yes, no, from my side, I think it will be easy. I think this session has been pretty much different to what we were doing in the first session 2 weeks ago. We will keep evolving the system. We will keep trying new things, so we are delivering the most value to you. We keep learning about it. From today, I think it was pretty relevant, this session, because I have felt that you need to know product in an early stage startup, and it's something you fail. And then if you start building features without any metric, without any goal, before asking why, then you are spending the scarce resources that you have in something that is not going to help the startups to succeed. And that's why I think it was so important, the learnings coming from Alvaro related to how to prioritize effectively, how to involve the team to understand which is the one and single objective of the company in the next few months. And then every single decision in the team, every single decision for any small detail has to be aligned with that goal. And then is when tech starts to think about business, and then you are not techies anymore, and you are more related to business, and then you forget about these sides. And also Alvaro mentioned, and it's so typical to think about the business side, the tech side. At the end, all the people should be in the business side because you are working for a business, period, right? So I think that that was one of the takeaways of the session. Anyway, we will share this document where you can see all the like the plot, the summary of the ideas that Alvaro has been exploring with your examples. I think we have your permissions, Sean, Jose, Diogo, all of you. It will not be a problem to show your hard work during the week. And to end up with the session, just to say thank you very much. We will keep learning. It's really great to have you on board, to keep doing a great number of assistants here. I think we were 20, 25, 24 today. Making time here for listen to us for more than 1 hour. And nothing else to say. The next one will be different. We will uncover and build the next speaker soon, but for sure it will surprise you, and I would like you to have you on board again for the next challenge. Nothing else. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Have a nice evening.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your evening of freedom, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye, Sean.
Bye. Later, guys.
Bye, guys.